What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch and the iPhone SE being replaced in the past few months, I guess. But before we start diving into that too deep, let's roll the intro first. Alright, so first let's talk about the iPhone SE. Alright, so the iPhone SE is no longer Apple's budget iPhone. It was replaced by the iPhone 16e, I think in March. Yeah, in March, the iPhone 16e was its replacement. This iPhone is no longer on Apple's website anymore. It did, a good job being the budget phone. I think they could have made this a better iPhone though. Maybe give it like maybe the notch or something. But they did a good job with this iPhone, and I think it was pretty good. It was the last iPhone with the home button. And yeah, do I think they're gonna drop support for this soon? Yes, I do think they're gonna drop support for this iPhone soon. Because this iPhone is in particular the iPhone SE 2, not the 3. The SE 3, they're gonna drop support for it, I would say in 4 more years. But this is the iPhone SE 2, and if you're wondering, how can I tell if I have the iPhone SE 2 or 3? So, first you go into settings. Alright, scroll down to general and about, and then you're gonna see if it says you have a 64 gigabyte, I think. I could be wrong. But if it says you have a 64 gig, you might have an iPhone SE 2. Not saying that's correct, but I think the SE 3 shipped in 128 gig, if I'm not wrong. But this iPhone, the iPhone SE 2, is probably gonna get unsupported on iOS 20, I think, because this does have the iPhone 11 processor, which is the A13 processor. This iPhone, genuinely, not a lot of people bought it. Not a lot of younger people bought it. A lot of elder people bought it. A lot of younger people pushed towards the iPhone XR. Or maybe even in 2020, the iPhone 12 was about to come out. This was released in March. And I believe the iPhone 12 was released in September. They released more budget-friendly iPhone 12 mini in the iPhone 12 series, obviously. And I think a lot of people that wanted a cheap phone that had all the stuff that the 12 had went out and bought the 12 mini. But, and people that had a $499 budget, a $499 budget, went and got the iPhone SE. Just my opinion. But the 12 mini is not on this, so get this out of here. But I think the SE has 2 years left, the iPhone SE 2. It didn't really, for me, it feels like it didn't come out that long ago, because the SE 3, it looks the same as the SE 2. But I think there are some minor changes. Like if you look at the product red on the SE2, it'll look lighter than the SE3. It's more this color, and the SE3 is more like an iPhone 8 or iPhone XR red. But yeah, enough talking about the iPhone SE2. Let's talk about the Nintendo Switch. Okay, so a brief history on the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch was released in 2017, replacing the Wii U and 3DS. The problems with the Switch were the Joy-Cons. See, like, they're so easy to take off. And a lot of people didn't press the button. And, the kickstand was just junk. I used to call it, when I was younger, the Dollar Tree kickstand. Just look at this. Look. It's so easy for it to come on. But it is also easier. It is also easy to put back on the Switch also. But the Nintendo Switch 2 was released today. They're gonna show when it's gonna come out. Pre-orders started, and genuinely, we didn't get Mario Kart 9. We got Mario Kart World, but I think people are just gonna call it Mario Kart 9, if I'm being honest. But I do like the Switch 2, like where it's like this, like that's easier than and the Joy-Cons I think they're better. But there is some things that I'm gonna miss about the Switch, and that is the Switch 2 is getting more and more like its competitors. Nintendo is getting more like its competitors. Party chats, and I think a lot more games there's gonna be on there. A lot more flagship games, and a lot more stuff that's either on the PS5 or Xbox Series X or NS. And the Switch 2 is starting at $4.99, if I'm correct. Let me check that. Nintendo Switch 2. Is starting at price. It's releasing on June 5th, 2025. And I think, yeah. The Nintendo Switch was originally $200, and the Lite was $130, I think. But the Nintendo Switch 2 is gonna be $400 or $4.99. Either 400 or 500. I'm not sure yet. But that's what Nintendo said. I think the pre-orders are gonna start soon. The release date is June 5th. And that's when the Nintendo Switch will be retired. But what does that mean for the previous console, the Wii U? The Wii U, unlike its competitors, the Xbox One and the PS4, the Wii U will be 2 generations old. Unlike 1 generation old, the Xbox One and PS4. The Switch, though, we expected the Switch to go at some point, but I didn't expect now. I expected maybe a year, maybe give it a 10-year run. It did have a good 8-year run, though. The Switch did have a good 8-year run. I got mine 2019, I think. And let's see. I got my Xbox One. I got my Xbox One S in 2018. But I did play this until my brother took the One S, and I got my Xbox One, the fat model, in 2022. And after I got the Xbox One in 2022, I didn't even play this that much unless I was going on a vacation or was going in the car and wanted to play some games or something. Other than that, I didn't play this that much because I just preferred playing on my Xbox One more than the Nintendo Switch. And that's probably why, sadly, I might not buy the Switch 2 unless they have a deal on it maybe 2 years down the line. I'm not paying $499 for that. But they did do that with the 3DS. It wasn't $499, I'll tell you that. I think it was $399 at launch. And they brought it down. They brought the 3DS price down. And what they did with the people who bought the 3DS early on, when the price was high, they made the 3DSs ambassador 3DSs, which are super rare now. Sadly, this 3DS is not an ambassador 3DS. But the ones that are, I want one. And they're super rare. But the Switch 2, that would be cool if they brought the ambassador systems back. Like, made the Switch 2's ambassador systems if they brought the price down. That'd be really cool. I do think Nintendo wouldn't do that, though, because Nintendo in 2011 is different than Nintendo 2025. Nintendo 2025 is just not Nintendo 2011. I'm gonna look up the 3DS price. 3DS price, launch. Yeah, $249, and then after price cut. And they brought the 3DS down 30% 6 months after launch. So I don't know if they're gonna do that with the Switch 2. I hope they do, though. One thing I do like about the Switch 2 is we finally do not have this junk anymore. Like, I don't know a single person who bought the OLED Switch. A lot of people did, but a lot of people didn't. The Switch 2 is just gonna be great. It's gonna be great. But it will not replace this. The only thing I do not like about the Switch 2 is that, see the pins? There's no pins on the Switch. You slide it in, you slide it off. On the Switch 2, you have to, like, do this to it. Like, grab it off. And there's these, like, 10 pins here. That's gonna be a big issue. A huge issue when kids are gonna, like, do this and, like, bend it and pull it. There's gonna be some pins broken. There's gonna be some pins broken. And that is what I don't like about the Switch 2. And one more thing I don't like about the Switch 2, it's not coming in OLED. It's coming in LCD. 120 hertz though. 120 hertz, not 60 hertz like this Nintendo Switch, the original. But I can't wait for the Switch 2 launch. And yeah, my thoughts on this Switch 2, the Switch 2, it's going to be good. But one thing, I did not say my thoughts on the 16E, so I'm going to say that real quick. My thoughts on the iPhone 16E, terrible. No one's going to buy it. I only know 2 people that have bought it. 2 people. People are just going to buy the iPhone 15. I recommend the iPhone. I recommend an iPhone 15 Pro if you want a cheap iPhone with USB-C, the action button, and the dynamic island. Get the iPhone 15 Pro. I recommend that. Or even what I have, the 14 Pro. If you want to stick with if you don't want to go to USB-C, stick with Lightning, get the 14 Pro. Don't get the 16E. Sorry, Apple, but the 16E is not that good. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.